Welcome back to Mosswick for episode 2. We're going to start moving into some of the more complicated industry builds. But first I'm looking for a good place to start building the monastery. I want to build a little bit outside of town. So I rested here on this nice coastal location. Again, using the blueprint system, I wanted to build out quite a bit of this monastery layout. Not just the main chapel, but also the men's and women's monk quarters and the herbal garden and the vegetable garden and some of the other stuff, so that I can start chipping away at getting it built out and letting the resources trickle in as they become available. We're also going to look into some wheat fields and some hops and some breweries and some mining and expanding our manor house and just getting some other things set up so that we can start really taking advantage of the money we're making, get all the details in, and really get this thing going. So I'll let the time lapse run for a bit and check in when it makes sense. After I got the monastery set up, I wanted to start mining some of these resources, especially iron and stone, as I realized I'm going to need a lot of stone for the more advanced buildings. But I also don't want to spend all my money on tools, and not even spending money on tools, but waiting for them to get traded. I feel like that takes longer than spending the money costs, if that makes any sense. So I also was looking at this road and it wasn't curvy enough for me, so I had to make it curvier. As great as it is not having to build roads yourself, I do want to make sure that the roads are going where I want them to if they're going to be built naturally. So I'm trying to keep my residents walking in more of a controlled environment, and not only keeping the paths looking organic and natural, but also keeping them out of the way so that I can build future things in the space that I can leave for them. Since I am making all this extra money, or at least hanging on to it, I figured it's time I built a new treasury. I do like that you can build buildings from the manor house not connected and create little complexes. I really like building complexes in Tiny Glade, not just one big building, but kind of a bunch of little stuff interconnected and more detailed, so it's fun to be able to do that in this game as well. And then speaking of controlling where the citizens walk, I do not want them walking out to the monastery by going up to the manor house and then riding a straight line down a hill. So again, I'm using the forbidden areas to make a path through town. I thought they would have walked this way to begin with, since they do often cut through the forest to get places, but they went real out of the way this time trying to get to the monastery to build it. So I'll have to rein that in a little bit and then make a little more space for some housing. Wanted to keep it again outside of town, but not so far from everything that it slows production down. I don't mind keeping things realistically placed to spread things out, but it can really slow progress down if you keep things too far away. So I thought nestling some farms here right on the outskirts of town where people coming in for the first time would see it and walk through them would be a nice place to start my hops and wheat and brewery area. So we're going to do that right here. everything I've been building from the monastery to some of the walls and the new manor house building all require a lot of stone. So I added another stonemason near town, but it wasn't enough, so it was time to build a mining operation way out here. It's a little far from town, but it's the closest stone mine, so I wanted to clear out a little space for a path, and I'll probably end up building some mining residents out here as they get real ornery if they have to walk more than 4 feet to work. So we'll have to have some homes a little bit outside of town for those people, and they're also going to get real hungry when they have to walk all the way in to get fish that I don't have actually, so pork. One thing that has been tough with the everything unlocked at the beginning mode is I keep forgetting to build every part of a production chain, so I'm tired of paying for tools and I want to sell some, so I thought I'd start building the ironsmith and the blacksmith, but I forgot to build the coal production facilities, so I want to get a few of those out here so that I can start producing my own tools and not have to worry about waiting on the trader to come through town every so often to bring the tools I need to knock some of this construction out. do know that you can control where people walk using the fences. It's a little hard to do early when you need a lot of wood to start building the town up from the beginning, but now that I've settled in a little bit, I want to start using more of the fences and the other decorations to determine where citizens walk or don't, or how they behave, instead of using the forbidden areas. So this is going to cost a good, I don't know, I forget, 100 or so bit of wood, but at this point I have plenty and I can always cut down more trees because there's no pollution yet. Again, just marking some items as favorites so that I can keep track of them even before I'm producing them. I know they'll be the next things that are up, so I want to keep an eye on them as they progress and make sure that the things that I can sell are being sold. And it also helps me remember what to actually produce. And then in every city I've built so far, I've noticed that my bailiff can never find a place to live and they keep leaving and I have to keep replacing them. So I tried putting a house near his job. I thought maybe he was having to walk too far to work, but I think, as you see a little later, that house never actually builds and he never gets happy. So if anybody knows how to keep your bailiff happy, let me know in the comments, because that's been a problem I'm yet to solve. And then, now that I've got a bunch of stone and a bunch of other items here, and I finally have leveled up the church a little bit, I wanted to start rebuilding this old wooden church and start using more of that stone that I'm mining. So I start off here with what I thought was the larger of the stone buildings, but in a second here I think I find a much bigger one that really lets this church take up, there it is, lets this church take up quite a bit of space here in this lot that's a little bigger than I initially realized when I outlined it for the church. So I had a bunch of decorations after this, which I think moves me into the second level of the clergy tree. And eventually I'll replace this wooden fence with a stone one. Alright, well that's it for this episode. We got some big stuff done. We got our manor house upgraded with a nice treasury. We built the monastery, and that'll still be ongoing as more supplies come in. And we got our wooden church upgraded with a bunch of stone. So we're seeing that play out right in front of us now. Next time we'll get beer going, we'll get some tools made, and we'll start decorating a little more. Until then, I'll leave you with some cinematics and some music.